Welcome to Off the Post, powered by Coverall Exteriors. I'm Russ Cohen. We've got Anthony Mingione. And how are you?
A little earlier than usual for us, but appreciate everybody who's hopping on.
Yeah, we certainly do. And we appreciate Mike Ogello, at least for a minute. Mike, how are you?
Oh, excuse me. Hi, how you doing?
Well, it's nice that you're wearing a sweatshirt on a hot summer's day.
I'm in the basement, and the basement is colder than upstairs.
Oh, you poor guy. All right. So let's
hot air rises, as we all know.
Let's read between the lines.
And we all got plenty of hot air here.
Let's start with the big news of the day, which this is how you know it's summer hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I predict the last contract from the Maple Leafs for Nick Robertson, a 1-year deal for $1.82 million. Mike, your thoughts?
My thoughts
We'll go to Anthony first.
Thank you. Because I'm no, I can do it now.
I was only a second.
I was starting our recording because I'm the recorder of the show. My thoughts, well, you saw the two figures that the two sides came out with. The Leafs were at, I think, 1.25, and Robertson's camp was 2.25. It's sort of in the middle.
That's a bridgeable gap.
Yeah. I think it's a little higher on the Robertson side. It didn't fall right exactly 50%. As I thought it was going to be a 1-year deal, which if they do move him is easier to move than a 2-year deal. It wasn't like they were buying unrestricted years because he's 3 years away from unrestricted free agency, and he did score 15 goals in limited ice time. So I think that was a sort of valuable commodity. Now, if they keep him, Russ, I mean, honestly, if they keep him, they should play him higher in the lineup because when he plays,
my feeling. Yes, I agree. Sorry, my feeling is this: I would keep him. I can't tell you Craig Berube is going to play him. But the other thing is, you've just talked about years that he still has under control of the team, but they only signed him for 1 year. So to me, that's their intention, is to play him and trade him.
Well, I think it's a prove it deal is what it is. If they're keeping him, now he scored 14 goals and he scored 15 goals. In both instances, he played 11, 12 minutes a night. They played him in protected minutes, bottom six, second power play. I mean, now that Marner's gone, if you move Max Domi to the top line, then you're probably, if Robertson stays, you're probably playing him on the third line. Yeah. I think they should play him higher in the line. I think they should give him a top six opportunity. But if they don't, then they're probably going to get the same production out of him that they've gotten in the past, Anthony. And I look at it like I think that the one concern right now with Marner gone is, them being able to score as much. And I think Robertson helps them with that. But the problem is defensively, he's not great.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of where the Leafs are right now, especially with this, this team-wide audition for Mitch Marner's spot to see, who potentially who could slot into that spot. And at least, as we said, nobody on this panel is expecting anybody to be able to come even close to Marner's level of production offensively. Right. That being said, when you have a guy who's banging out 14 to 15 goals in limited time, my view on that is, based on that, you give him a shot. And I think what you have to do is probably look at, are you balancing out the line with someone who's got a little bit of more of a defensive comportment to cover for that. Right. But it's also on the young player as well to continue to round out his game to prove to the Maple Leafs that, if you're going to be a top six player, your production isn't so much that, we have no, there's a reason why he's on a 1-year deal, as you just pointed to. Defensively, he has a lot. He still has a bunch of stuff to work on. And 14 to 15 goals is not enough unless you have some other way of compensating for the back end of that. If he's having issues.
The only thing, Ant, that I would push back on with this is you never sign a guy with this many years left for just 1 year. You always sign him for 2 and leave the 1 year on the back end.
That tells you, but they're basically saying here, we're not sure about you.
This tells you their level of interest in him, I think.
No, I think it shows their level of skepticism. I think it's the fact that they don't know what they have. They don't know if he fits what they want to do. But they do recognize that he can score. And like, okay, say for example, they don't put him in the top 6. They think he's too much of a defensive liability. Where he would fit in conceivably is on a third line with Nicolas Waugh and say Dakota Joshua, 2 players who are good defensively,
Mm-hmm.
bigger bodies, who he doesn't have to go into the corner. He could be the guy in the slot that they feed the puck to. That might work. He might score 20 goals. Now, the thing is, if he scores 20 goals, then his cost just went up.
Exactly. He's pricing himself out of probably whatever the current structure is for the Leafs.
Maybe. But the other thing is, so if another team were to get him in this trade, teams don't want these kinds of guys with more than 1 year to have to either go to arbitration for without a set salary. Like, it makes it hard to trade him with 2 more years, I think.
Unless they have a deal already in place.
That's the only way I would think it would be, because teams don't really want this kind of term.
Right. Yeah.
On this kind of player. On a lot of other players, they kill for it. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
It's on an unproven player, or at least a player that's kind of like they're not sure about. That's the difference. All right.
But thank God, arbitration is over with. And now we have 6 weeks until the beginnings of training camp.
Yeah, we would have enjoyed maybe another week of discussion and content as to whether or not, what's the relationship like between player X and team Y. And
no, I wouldn't have liked that. All right.
No, I know.
Something else that I'm really lukewarm on, but we'll talk about it, is the Hockey Canada list for orientation. And I imagine orientation's nice. You get a t-shirt.
Lots of t-shirt, PowerPoints, a goodie bag.
Yeah. You get a stuff. There's only 42 guys.
Car magnet.
So it's a very small group, 42 guys.
Yes.
And I don't know, that they're doing it because sure, there's injuries and such, but it's like, I can't get overly excited about it because I know that a large percentage of these guys won't be on the team, but
yeah, I mean, I think it's if we start talking about that, there's you have some of the players who were on 4 Nations. So for example, from the Flyers perspective, both the Travi are, were obviously invited, and Sanheim and Konechny. So that's something to keep in mind. But then, do you start over analyzing the goaltending situation? Oh, Logan Thompson wasn't invited. And they
weren't going to go with different goalies, honestly.
It's still 2 years. It's still, you still have time yet,
right,
to make those.
Yeah, but I don't think it's time when it comes to Logan Thompson. Anthony.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever inviting him. I
don't think so. I don't think so either. I think that he would have been probably locked in at that point. I agree with you, but still,
Bruce Cassidy is part of the coaching staff, and Vegas traded Logan Thompson because Bruce Cassidy didn't like him. So I don't think there was no excuse for the year that he was having at the time that they chose the goaltenders. That he was left off the list, and he was left off the list in favor of Samuel Montembeault.
Right.
So, that tells you enough.
Yeah.
And then that's not slagging on Montembeault. That's just saying Logan Thompson.
Right. I mean, he was having a better year.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, I agree. World Junior Summer Showcase, I don't get overly excited about it. Matter of fact, my initial takeaway is the European teams are more into it, I think, than the North American teams. And I think it's showing on the ice. Now, that's not to take away from talent. Yeah. And I like Atu Koivu. I've interviewed him. I wrote about him for Full Press. I even put that article back up because I said I think he could be a third liner in the league someday, maybe even a second liner.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to base it off of this camp, these games. So it's I think fans should talk about it if they want to, but there's too much coverage of it.
I would say this. I mean, you're at the point now where people obviously are just desperate for any kind of hockey, especially with the recent draft and everything else. The one thing I would say is that, if you are covering if you're looking at a particular player and tracking their performance from how they did during the season through the developmental camp and now into the World Junior Showcase, and this is going to be part of my next piece that I'm going to be putting out for Hockey Hot Stove, is if you're a Flyers fan or someone covering the Flyers, you have to be pretty happy with what you're seeing out of Jack Berglund, going all the way back to what we noticed of him in the developmental camp, how good he looked in the scrimmage, his physical play, the fact that the Flyers are a team looking for, obviously looking for any kind of center depth that they can get. And if he's able to produce offensively, how he, can maybe, get it, start knocking on the door of being a player that people start talking about in the next few years, because of, number one, because of the way the league is going, but number two, needing that kind of a player who is willing to go to the dangerous areas, willing to shoot the puck, and also, be a physical presence up front, especially when you're trying to build a team that has that kind of, that has those, I guess, objectives in mind and trying to become that under the new coaching staff.
Well,
yeah, I would say this.
Go ahead.
I still think what I think he is, what I think I am seeing right now in this camp is he is far more physically developed because of where he's playing than most players his age. And I think that is a function of what we're seeing in camp, which is good for him. But I think eventually that'll level out a bit. I still think he's an NHLer, so don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I do think when he's coming into this camp hot with being as physical as he is, he is more physically advanced than a lot of guys his age right now.
Yeah, no question. I would agree with that.
Well, I mean, you have to look at this showcase in a number of different lights. First of all, Craig Button on TSN was not panicking by the fact that Canada has gotten schooled a couple times. It doesn't matter. Dale Hunter has basically got his notepad out and he's saying, okay, this guy I like and that guy I don't like. So, and you've got the US players, some of them, a good chunk of them that won the World Junior last. You think Brody Zimmer and Adam Kleber are playing throttle wide open, or Teddy Stiga or any? They're not. Yeah, they're going through the motions, and they're going to be on the team in Minneapolis in December. So so you have to factor that in, but you also have to factor in, like you were saying, Russ. I mean, Finland did not bring in Hellenius. Hellenius is on the team. He will make the team, even if. But they didn't bring him because they know he's going to be on the team. So
there's no point. You'd rather him, especially after playing a pro season in the AHL to begin with. You want him to get some physical recovery here before you get you start getting into
the Euros are hungrier just because they've made the trip.
You're making the trip. Make sure it's worth it. Make sure you're getting on because you're not going to be as visible for everybody stateside. You want to make sure to leave a good impression with the, while you're on this side of the Atlantic with the team, with your own team that you've been drafted by.
But I will pose this question because I have seen some highlights and I've watched Chris Peters, who's doing amazing coverage. He is the guy, and good for him because we love Chris Peters. So the James Higgins haters, are they already having remorse seeing what he looks like? That's my question.
They should.
They should, right?
Yeah, for anybody who, again,
there were.
There has to be some. I mean, the thing is, I think everybody wants to see how things look this year, in year two, obviously, at Boston College. And that is because now he's the guy there. He is going to be the guy there. And the competition, again, with the way things have started with us, all these players now going into college hockey, it's going to be, if he does well in that environment where you're going up against some teams that have a load of NHL, loads of NHL talent on it, that's going to, I think, leave a pretty good impression. It depends on, which teams and what they desired and what they were looking for in this circumstance. When we say haters in this case, it doesn't mean
No, I mean writers. I don't mean teams.
You talk about people who evaluated him and had him lower.
Evaluating him, saying he was overrated, and I read all kinds of stuff about James Higgins, and
he shouldn't have been the first overall pick. And then and there's a reason. There's a reason he fell from 1 to 7. There's something wrong with him. No,
that stuff. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I'll say, from a league perspective, and. Last year they drafted a kid out of Sweden who was not in any of the guides, like Elite Prospects, Hockey Prospect Black Book. Victor Johansson was not in any of them. And I had to do a lot of digging to find out who this kid was.
Sorry,
and what's that, Russ?
No, since I work for Elite Prospects, I said, sorry, Mike, we couldn't.
But Russ, it was a cross. It was across the board.
I know.
Nobody.
And I'm going to say, like, I was in all of those meetings except for one.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't recall his name coming up. It's just one of those weird things.
You can only listen. At the end of the day, as a scout, you can only talk about the players that you've seen. So
I believe he's a cousin of Albert Johansson, who was a Detroit Red Wings draft pick. And in his draft year, he was like 6 foot and 145 pounds. Everybody's like, what the hell's going on? And he had some injury or some sickness issue earlier in his career. Well, last year he had 39 points and 113 penalty minutes in the juniors in Sweden. And now he's lighting it up for Sweden at the summer showcase, to the point that Craig Button's like, this guy's terrific, and he's going to make Team Sweden for the World Juniors unless he gets injured or unless he has a bad year. So who knows whether he'll be somebody who eventually plays for the Leafs, but they got this guy 120th overall, and all of a sudden you see, okay, you're seeing what they saw, and it's coming to fruition.
So I wanted to mention something. I saw USA Today had this big expose, and I watched some video on it about the Dallas Stars and their youth hockey.
Yeah, it was another thing I wanted to
and everything. So here's the thing that I have on that. I understand why parents might be mad about cost. Hockey is expensive. We have not ducked that ever on this show. We know it is. But without the Dallas Stars, you wouldn't even have an argument to have, because you wouldn't have these rinks or teams or anything, because nothing would be there.
Right, but I do understand the problem. Again, if you're trying to kind of grow things for Texas hockey, you have to. I think there's a point to be made that, if you're trying to grow it, you got to make it accessible. You got to make it to the point where people can have a chance to engage and be able to at least be able to compete at some level in this circumstance. But I know at the end of the day, the problem, again, as always with hockey, is the fact that it is an expensive sport to begin with. But can the team, if they control as much as they control, what programs do they have to kind of defray the costs of that in their various rink programs?
Well, I mean, is that up to the team? Maybe it's up to the state.
I would say if the team has that much control, Russ, then it's incumbent on them. Like, we've seen California hockey grow. We've seen hockey grow in Arizona, despite all the crazy stuff that happens.
In Missouri.
We don't
know about the cost there, because nobody's probably looked at it or covered it, or we don't know.
But you look, okay, I mean, Austin Matthews is the exception to the rule. But if you look at like the Missouri situation, you have, Tage Thompson was a son of a former NHLer, the Kachuks. Right. I mean, a lot of them come from well-to-do backgrounds. Yeah. Now,
some of them do. Yeah,
I know. In Western New York, back in like the 90s, there was and I don't know if it was around the country. There was a business called Play It Again Sports that would sell used equipment.
Yes,
and that enabled some people to buy in and play hockey. But yeah, unless you're prepared to make the investment, it's really tough. I mean, it's not basketball where you go out and buy a basketball at Dick's Sporting Goods and go out and find a hoop somewhere and start shooting. It's just not that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to raise my voice and say the Dallas Stars should lower prices, because I don't even know what prices are across the country. I imagine in some places they're really high.
It's enough that it's gotten on the radar of people. Sure. Enough people are talking about it to the point where that this is seen as as an issue, in Texas. And I understand. And again, getting back a little bit to maybe again, we'll get back to our conversation with Ted Starkey on Thursday.
Yeah.
If an NHL expansion team in Houston comes in, in this circumstance, that doesn't fall necessarily, all these things all fall to the Dallas Stars in this case, especially if you got a brand new team in Houston, you might see them trying to get that, get that thing going in that part of the state. And then you might, when you have like, as we all know, when you have competition, it's a classic economic situation. If you have two competitors, that might help to bring down costs across. That may help bring costs down across the board. When it comes to hockey in Dallas, it's the Dallas Stars, it's the Texas Stars. and you have a lot of smaller,
I was
teams.
at one of the rinks. I don't know who rented it, how I got on it.
Yeah.
I think we chipped in, to be honest. And I was out there goofing around when the All-Star game was out there and played with some friends. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens with it.
I'll just say one thing about Texas hockey, and I know, after we had Ted on, and I think it's a fait accompli that Houston is going to be either.
I think so.
And I think it's just good for the NHL. Just needs to. They want another team there, and again for Dallas, in terms of getting back to cost and everything. Again, we talked about how they are the team with the most amount of travel. I believe in the entire league.
If they're not, they're up there.
But they're not. They're in the top 2 or 3 at the minimum.
Yeah.
But I think the chances of them being named the Houston Aeros are slim to none.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. I agree.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But we can talk about names down the line. I've got some ideas.
I still want the Seattle Metropolitan. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, not the Houston Oil Wells. I'll put that one out of it right away.
I love. I mean, listen. Once upon a time,
Oilers.
I love the Arrows were great once upon a time in the IHL, but that's the time on that is probably passing this.
Yeah, the Houston Oilers would be funny. Actually.
That would be hilarious.
That would be funny. And if they had the blue,
it's gonna be like a reverse. It's gonna be like a reverse thing on the Rough Riders in Canada.
The Love You Blue. That would be funny. All right,
yeah, that'd be hilarious.
So, Mike, we have your game.
It's August, everybody. It's August. It's time. Hold on. Drum roll, please, Michael.
We have our annual game, folks. It's called 1 Year Contract, PTO or Nada.
Yes.
What we will do is we will do 5 players each show at the end of the show, and I am picking them off a list here of unrestricted free agents.
Yep.
Now that all the restricted free agents are taken care of in terms of arbitration.
Yes.
The unrestricted free agents, and we will determine based on what they did, how old they are, all the factors of whether they will earn a 1 year contract, a professional tryout, or nothing.
Yes. So just an aside before we begin with Mike's first contestant. This is a game that you can have a hot dog on the side if you want to just to enjoy the game, because it's a fun kind of game. A cold beverage if you'd like. Yeah. Maybe some Old Bay fries on the side too. A little bit of Old Bay. Sprinkle Old Bay on the fries. Absolutely. Not crab fry. Not crab fry level where they burn. You sprinkle it lightly and then you're good to go.
And you dunk them in blue cheese, which
and then you ruin them. But yes, this game can be played with food and beverage in hand. Let's go.
The hot dog has to be a Hebrew National kosher beef hot dog.
I don't disagree with that.
Nobody's arguing with you on that.
Okay. All right, here we go. Defenseman Matt Grzelcyk, 31 years old, left shot defenseman. Made $2.75 million last year for the Boston Bruins. Had a surprisingly good offensive year. Only one goal, but 39 assists for 40 points. It's really surprising that he is not signed right now, but it is August 2nd and he is not. So, Russ, you first. 1 year contract, PTO or nada?
1 year contract. But again, not every team wants a smaller guy, but he can skate. He's got good offense. He always has. I've always been a supporter. I still believe he can play in this league. Obviously, he can. He proved it with points. So, yeah, it's a little surprising.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised myself as well that he's still out there, Grzelcyk. But and also one of my favorite hockey names. Period. I mean, you think Boston Bruins. I think the name Grzelcyk immediately pops in my head. I was like, really? I'm like, yeah. He sounds like a Bruins defenseman.
Yeah, grizzled
Grzelcyk, a grizzly. Yeah, you get all that. So yeah, to me, again, in a league where if you got a guy with moderately decent numbers in this case, you get one injury in this, that might. But that may be the part of the difficulty is that he probably wanted more than what he was going to get. But I still have to feel like somebody's going to be out there that's going to at least give him a 1 year deal. So I'm going to say that.
Yeah, I think the fact here is, he's probably looking at that. McAvoy got hurt, Hampus Lindholm got hurt. he was probably playing power play time.
Yeah.
That he's not going to get normally. He's probably on a really good team, a bottom pair.
How many of those assists were secondary assists?
Right.
He can play the power play, so he could play second power play on any
for
team.
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's probably looking to get as much as he got last year, especially with the cap going up and defensive prices going up. So right now, maybe it's just a battle. But I think Russ is right. 1-year contract. I'm going to skip Jack Russell because I think we all know that's going to be a 1-year contract or more.
Right.
Okay. Former Buffalo Sabre, Victor Olofsson, 30 years old. 3-time 20-plus goal scorer, had 15 goals in, I think it was about 50, 55 games with Vegas, actually scored a few goals in the playoffs for them, made a little over $1 million. Russ, left winger, 1-year contract, PTO or nada?
No, I'd give him a 1-year contract because if I'm a team that didn't have a great power play, I'm bringing him in and I'm monitoring his minutes and I'm making him a big power play guy for me.
But okay, let's just. You think, or do you think he will, or you would, yes, but do you think he will get a 1-year?
No, I think he will. I think there'll be a team out there that says, "Listen, this guy is still excellent on the power play, and we can manage his minutes." I think a 1-year deal will happen for him.
Anthony,
I think it might get uncomfortably close to camp for him, and he might actually have some PTO offers in this case because teams might look at it and say, well, you're kind of you're a bit of a one-way player. But it could be a case where he might accept a PTO and then someone has an injury and then he gets a 1-year contract. So I do wonder, again, people are looking and going 30 years old. Do we want to invest? How much did he want in his initial ask? I'm going to lean. It's going to be, he should get a 1-year, but I got a weird feeling he's going to end up initially with a PTO and then someone gets hurt elsewhere and they're like 1-year deal.
Yeah, he could take the PTO with a team that he thinks he's a good fit with and says, okay, I'll do this on the promise. His agent will have negotiated. Well, he's got to show that he's ready to play or whatever. But as soon as he does, 1 year, 1.3 million, sort of like Pat ready.
Yeah, for sure. But he may be on his
could be
one
the last
more
one.
Opportunity before he might have to go back to he might go to the SHL after this.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah.
I agree with that too.
So I'm in between PTO and 1 year. So
You can't be in between.
Russ, if you let me finish my sentence, I'll say PTO.
As we said, this you could eat on this show, but the problem is you're not allowed to squirt condiments at each other.
Right. I would too.
No condiments here.
I would have squirted yellow mustard because it's disgusting.
Okay. Yoel Kiviranta, former Dallas Star, former Colorado
legend, Game 7 legend in the bubble.
29 years old, left winger, made league minimum last year with Colorado, had 16 goals. So still can score. Anthony, you first, 1-year contract, PTO or nada?
Kind of in the same boat here, almost with Olofsson. He's kind of in the same age, has some production, but why hasn't he gotten a contract yet? I do wonder if he's got. Sometimes you wonder if they think they've got offers in Europe, but at this point, you would figure they already would have made the move. Now, there's still a chance where guys may still go over. We're still a lot of AHL veterans are going over to, let's say, the KHL. I just feel like Kiviranta, he hangs around. He's productive. Somebody close to camp is going to give him a 1-year deal, I think.
Ross?
I'm going nada, not because he necessarily can't play in the league. I think he's sort of, and he can play some defense. I don't know. I just think he has been a depreciating asset since you pointed out his career high. And I think teams aren't enamored with him anymore because they're kind of like, he keeps going down and down and down and down. And why spend extra money on a guy like this when we have prospects that could probably do the same job? And I think that's the problem for him.
Yeah, I mean, last year was his career high. The highest before that was 8. So he doubled his career high.
Teams sound like they're in the
We
production
kind of know what you are mode.
Yeah, and that could be it. But I feel like he still could get a 1-year offer from somebody. If there's, someone getting close to camp, You know, I mean, I know. Like, listen, I'll give you a perfect example. The Philadelphia Flyers probably could, in this circumstance. He's a left wing, right?
Yep.
Left wing.
So, I mean, but again, you look at the Flyers might look at it and say, we've got an Alex Bump that we want to try, and then other teams are in similar circumstances here where they're just like, what we're going to get out of Kiviranta versus a guy who's much more cost controlled. We'd rather go with the cost control guy.
Well, I think he's the victim of the size prejudice situation. He's 5'11".
That's true.
He's not a 6'4" bruising guy. I'm gonna say PTO at best.
All right.
Nikolai Kovalenko, right winger, 25 years old, was traded last year from Colorado to San Jose. Did not receive a qualifying offer from the Sharks. Last year was his first sort of full year in the NHL, 57 games, 7 goals, 13 assists. Youth is on his side, but 5'10", 180 pounds.
Yeah.
I'll say I'll go first. 1 year contract, PTO or nada. I think at best PTO.
I think nada. He's going to be on an AHL. If he wants to stay in North America, to me, it sounds like he's going to be on an AHL contract, or he goes to Europe. It's just that's alarming to me. Mm-hmm. And to me, I just feel like, especially going from Colorado to San Jose, and then San Jose doesn't even bother. San Jose was basically auditioning guys all year. If they're not in love with, if San Jose doesn't have a spot for you, that tells me a lot. So I'm going to say nada. He's not going to get an NHL contract. He doesn't get a PTO. He might get an AHL deal to try to prove himself to a team, and then maybe as the season goes on, he does well, and somebody decides to purchase his contract.
Russ?
Yeah, I'm going nada. I think he's going to have to go elsewhere to kind of prove himself. There must be something else going on that we don't know with him, because, like, if you watch him skate, he could skate. He's got some skill for sure. I've seen him. There's something else going on here. So, I
do think there's something to be said to what Mike said here with regards to the league. Teams that are trying to get bigger. Sure, everybody's trying to combat the
That's
the
a part of it. It's definitely a part of it.
He played 4, 5, 6 years in the KHL. So going back,
I'm saying it's there. It's just like, I think teams. We might be talking about this with Maxim Shabanov. And if he doesn't work out, with the Islanders, so he might have been built. That's my thing exactly, and that's where I'm looking at it right now with him, is that he probably also has an offer in the K, and if he doesn't sign with if the only thing that's available by the time camp rolls around is an AHL contract.
I mean, this show ends up like the Martin Short version of Match Game. It's like, do you really want to be that guy at this point? Like
You don't have Selena Gomez as a caretaker like Martin Short does, though.
The final one on the list, I'm skipping one because the guy retired. The list has not been updated. That was an easy nada for Patrick Maroon. So we'll skip him.
Yeah, but he's always a fun one, though.
He was.
That's one we could always That's one you could always parse through. So now that Maroon is retiring, I'm kind of he's on a 2-year deal with Barstool.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He'll be a regular on Barstool.
Great, wonderful. I can't wait to watch. Okay, Luke Cunnin, 27 years old, center.
Yeah.
Had 11 goals in 75 games last year. Was talked about as a trade commodity before the deadline. A lot of teams were looking at him as a sort of depth center. And I think he didn't get moved to Minnesota. I think it was Columbus. It was Columbus from San Jose to Columbus, where he got no points in 12 games down the stretch for the Blue Jacket. So, Anthony, you first. 1-year contract, PTO or nada?
Maybe a PTO at this point now. I hate to say we liked Cunnin in his draft year.
Of course,
we all did. It's one of those classic cases where it hasn't clicked at the pro level, and I feel like he's become a journeyman. He's now a journeyman player, and that gets really, really difficult. What's his physical size?
6 foot, 197 pounds.
So I mean, he's a solid frame player, but again, you're getting down to
pure
below
average now for league. for the league.
I know that's exactly. So it's not in this circumstance. It's going to be.
But he's a physical player. 99 penalty minutes. With
Yeah, he's
Nashville.
physical. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
physical in
83
this case.
penalty
But
minutes, so he's racked up some penalties.
somebody, I'm going to say for now, I'm going to lean PTO at this point now.
Okay, I'll go next, Russ, and then you finish. He's a center, 1-year contract. I think somebody now. Remember, I think
fair.
After all the all the arbitration situations have filtered through, there's been a school of thought that now teams are going to be making all these secondary moves.
Mm-hmm.
Like Toronto may trade David Kampf. But would you rather trade for David Kampf or sign Luke Cunnin for a year? I mean, if I'm a team who likes David Kampf and he's under control for 2 years, fine. But you get Cunnin probably for $800,000 on a 1-year deal. So I think he's going to get a 1-year deal somewhere, Russ.
I'm going to go PTO. I'm looking at something that's alarming because even though he's a center, I'm looking at his faceoff log. He barely took any faceoffs for Columbus. So there's something up there where they didn't want him taking faceoffs. They didn't like it.
And if you're not having enough offensive production, you better be doing something on the other
Sharks,
side.
he took a lot more faceoffs. So
yeah, unless they were settled on their centers, Johnson and Monahan, and they didn't want to.
That is a unique situation for Columbus, especially since they were in a playoff drive late in the season, and you want your guys that you're heavily invested in to get that experience in that circumstance.
He's not the fastest. He's not the biggest. He's okay on faceoffs. Like, he's not great at anything, but he can play the position. So I say PTO.
I still say he's an NHLer, but he's getting close.
He's an NHLer.
He's an NHLer, but he's teetering.
27 years old is still pretty young. So we'll see. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. All right.
Next week, folks.
Yep.
Hold on. So we have
Russ had one more thing you wanted to touch on.
One more thing, a food take, quick one.
Yes.
So we're in summer, even though Mike wasn't dressed that way at the beginning. And so I love how he's like looking like it's, yeah. Anyhow, so we're going to talk about a summer ice cream. And I'm going to talk about a company that I think is now kind of like not lost in the shuffle, but like has been like almost pushed aside, and that's Haagen-Dazs. Like, if you go to their stand, it's great. Like, if you see a Haagen-Dazs stand, you get it that way. It's tremendous. I still think it's pretty good in the supermarket when you see it. And they have a pineapple coconut one that is really good. Like that, I like that in the summer. I don't really like it any other time, but I like it because it's kind of got that feel, that summery feel. So that's my pick for my summer ice cream.
If I'm sticking with Haagen-Dazs, my favorite flavor, so that means 12 months of the year, is...
No, we're going with summer flavor.
Okay.
For any ice cream.
Summer is part of the year, Russ. So
no, but you're saying if see already. I feel like we're going to skip you and go to Anthony and let you come back. Anthony, go ahead.
I will say this: one of my favorite things. This is not in an ice cream division per se. We got near us. We have a John's water ice, which is in the Italian market. But they opened one up near where I live here up near Northeast Philadelphia, just outside the city. I'm big, if we're going, are we talking like regular ice cream? Ice cream, like scooped ice cream versus a soft serve.
Any kind of ice cream, not water ice.
That's a summer.
And that's
gelato. I was going to say gelati soft serve. I was going to say I love a good. They have a Dole Whip that's fantastic.
And not sherbet.
Okay, fine. I won't go sherbet.
No sherbet either.
If there's an ice cream that's got like bits of peach pie in it,
okay, like
little bits of that in it, for specifically a summer flavor. Okay. I've seen that, and those are as long as I'm a big thing for texture. I love anything that's that's one of the reasons I like graham cracker ice cream. Graham ice cream is that additional almost really nice gritty texture to it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like my summer. That would be, if I have it, that would be a summer substitute.
Okay, I think I mentioned this flavor, and since it only comes out in the summer, Russ, so
that's good. That's the parameter.
Technically a summer ice cream. My favorite chain of ice cream, which is Perry's, which is local in Western New York.
I've had it.
Excellent. They put out a blueberry cornbread ice cream.
Sounds interesting.
Honey flavored ice cream with blueberry swirls and baked cornbread pieces. It's pretty damn good.
That's pretty cool.
I like the texture. I mean, you get a little disturbed by the fact that there's something sort of like semi-hard, which is the cornbread in the ice cream, but it's really good. I've had it a couple times and yummy.
And Terry 3G's right. Like for texture, Ben and Jerry's has that lockdown. Like they.
But my favorite Haagen-Dazs is the cherry vanilla.
I will say this about Ben and Jerry's. Ben and Jerry's, you could literally line build. You can for bricks on a building, you could probably use Ben and Jerry's ice cream just to like it. It's just
Ben and Jerry's. I love the inventive names for my
Caramel Sutra, that one.
From Russia with Buzz. It was like espresso pieces, coffee. It had like what's the Russian liqueur? It was like
I thought you would love the Tonight Dough.
Oh no. No, nothing to do with. Although Jimmy Fallon, that's the Jimmy Fallon run.
Then you have the Americone Dream. That's the one.
I'm gonna give an idea to Ben and Jerry's. We're gonna go with Marshy Mike, and what it's gonna be like a grayish looking vanilla with some marshmallow chunks.
Oh my God!
Because Mike sees gray. That's what he sees most of the year. He's wearing gray.
No, it's not. Moron.
No, it's definitely not gray.
He will wear gray.
I'm sure you're wearing right now. Looks a little on the gray side.
Mike wears gray all the time. We've established
blue.
Fine.
You're colorblind.
We're gonna go into
that one's blue. You're right. But Mike, do you own any gray shirts?
A lot, yes. I like gray. Gray is neutral, Russ.
Okay, that's it. That's it for Off the Post. We'll catch everybody next time. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Jesus.